So my go-to Psoas pose for most of my clients, I usually will have them go into like a low lunge with your knee down. And you can put like a blanket or a towel underneath your knee and your shin. So you want to be supported in your pelvis, slight anterior tilt, but core is in tight, and you're at a 90-degree angle in your front knee. So you're not getting deep like this, which can stretch it out, but I like to be supported. And what you won't see is that you press into the towel with your shin as you stretch back. So you're lengthening the psoas, but by pressing into your shin, you're also strengthening it. So you're like reinforcing the lengthening of the psoas. So it's not just a release, it's like strengthening it at a longer, like a longer length. So just a slight back bend. You don't want to like crunch in. You want to lift up and then back as you're pressing in, and then release. And you press down and then release. And do that a few times. You'll feel like your hip flexor is working, but you're also leaning back. Then I like to do like a half frog. So if you're on your tummy, you bring your knee out. I like using a block. It just gives you a little more range. You can be on your forearms, or you can like come all the way down. And you can also work here and just play with activating your adductors. So you can press in with your knee, lifting your foot off the ground. You can leave your foot on the ground and just press into it, and it'll like activate your glutes. But also like pressing this hip point. My dog wants to play. Pressing this hip point down to the ground, even though it's not connecting, it's still intentionally pointing down. So it's giving you that reinforced anterior tilt. And if you have a block or something solid like this, you lay down. If you lay down and your sacrum is resting flat on the block. So if you bring your shoulders down, you feel like a little nice, little hip release here. And then extend your legs out long. So you might need to move the block a little bit. So extending it long, this is stretching it out and giving you that angle. So if you feel it here, then you can stay here. You can also like put one foot, one ankle on top of the other, see how that feels. You can also, if you do have a block, bring it to a higher level, so a higher angle, and stretching your legs out again. You can also do this like off the side of the couch or bed and just be supported in your torso and hang your legs off. It's actually also like a labor and birth position, not birth, but a labor position to help the baby engage into the mid pelvis, which is kind of funny. What else? Okay, had some dog issues. So if you come to your back and bring one knee into your chest, one leg extended, and just coming into a simple spinal twist. So crossing the knee over to the other side. You don't have to worry about your shoulder coming up because we're not focusing on the thoracic spine like usually what we do in the spinal twist. But just in this position, you can bend your bottom leg and try to reach for the bind. And here you can kind of play with where the top leg is. You can extend it long. And you can play with where the bottom knee is, giving yourself more of a stretch. And the whole time doing these exercises, focusing on that anterior tilt that you want to reinforce. So just a slight tilt, pulling this in. This is really also releasing your quads. But everything's connected, everything's going to help. And there you go. So I think also what really helps with the psoas is doing some really deep breaths. So even outside of meditation, just laying down instead of trying to sit up and doing some deep breathing. So laying down and focusing on like the deep diaphragmatic breath. So you know, the diaphragm, it's all like in that same area. So if you focus on toning that diaphragm, toning the vagus nerve, it's going to help with your psoas as well. So in through your nose, out through your nose, really focusing on the sound of the breath. So in the depth of the breath, you want it to be like 4 to 6 seconds in. And like I said, this is outside of meditation, just focusing on the breath work. So you can count the inhales. And really controlling the exhales. So let your belly inflate on the inhales. Instead of it just being in your chest, it's not really doing, you're only using your thoracic cavity to expand your lungs. If you pull down on your diaphragm, you're using your abdomen as well. So that's really what's going to help. So and that is it for now.